Couple of questions just as we kind of tee up our session. What does it mean to be an effective teacher / principal in the 21st century, or anybody else who hangs out in the school? That's one of the questions that's kind of in the back of our minds, and we're trying to answer that. And through our top 20 work, we've come up with a bunch of ways of thinking about what it means to be effective in the 21st century if we're a teacher, if we're an educator, if we're a principal. And the other quick question is, how do we keep students engaged in learning? Would you raise your hand if you have any disengaged students in your school? Anybody? Yeah, all right. You know what I'm noticing? I get emails almost on a weekly basis that are talking about disengagement in the workplace. It's no longer just in schools. The buck has been passed up, and we are now experiencing that in the workplace. And I don't just mean schools. I mean businesses, organizations all over the country are struggling because of disengaged people who work there. So we've got to fix it at our level, otherwise it's going to make a major problem somewhere else. Top 20 leaders develop potential in others in themselves. Does anybody here have a real little person in their family? Who's got a real young person
Under
in their
the
family?
age of 2, maybe?
Right here, right here. What's the name of your child? Yes.
My son is 6.
He's 6. We'll take him. What's his name?
Not your child. We'll just take him
Yeah,
as an
but-
example.
No, you can have it.
You can have him. That's before he's a teenager she's giving him up.
He's 6. His name is Harrison.
Harrison, right?
Harrison.
And your name is?
Denise.
Denise, you left Harrison a couple days ago, right? In good care. When you left Harrison,
We're mandatory reporters,
Yeah,
too,
right.
so we just want to double check.
was Harrison multiplying fractions when you left him?
No.
He was not. All right? Does Harrison have the potential to multiply fractions? I want you to think about this little 6-year-old boy. Inside him is this thing we call potential. It is a power that today is waiting to get activated. And when it does in Harrison, it's going to come out of him and make a positive difference in his life, his relationships, his experiences, and then make a positive difference in other people that Harrison hangs out with, all right? So that's true for each of us. There is in each of us a potential, which is simply a power that wants to come out and make a positive difference in our life. Now, what happens to it? Well, for some folks, nothing. People on this red line, by the way, I live in Minnesota now, but I'm originally from Illinois, and I'm a fanatic Chicago Cub fan. Yeah, there we go. Hey guys, that's our team.
Yeah.
We have potential. For 103 years, it has not been activated, all right? Huh? I know there are some St. Louis Cardinal fans in here, so.
Sure.
There we go.
Nothing
Yes,
like
right.
Cards fans.
So that could be a person, it could be a family, it could be a team, it could be a school. Lots of potential, but nothing's happening. Or there are folks on this blue line. They have potential, and they're developing at a rate that you'd normally expect. They're doing okay. But what fascinates us are people on this green line, where potential's going through the roof. Now, what makes the difference? In our world, we call the folks on that green line the top 20, and the people on the bottom 2 lines the bottom 80. And here's what we think is the difference. When you and I are operating as a top 20 person, we TLC, or think, learn, and communicate differently than we're operating as a bottom 80 person. Now, this is not a way of comparing people. It's not the top 20 are over here and the bottom 80 are over here. We are really all top 20s and we're all bottom 80s. It's just that at times we're being effective and at times we're not being effective. So today and in our breakout sessions, when we use this phrase top 20 or bottom 80, top 20 simply means we're being effective in our thinking, learning, and communicating. And the phrase bottom 80 simply means we're not being effective in those ways.
I think we can prove very, very quickly that everybody in the room is both a top 20 and a bottom 80. Everybody say top 20. Top 20. If you've been effective, top 20, in your thinking, learning, communicating, at least once in the last school year, you raise your hand. Hey, your boss is in the room. Get your hand up.
Hand up.
Too cool for school. Let's go.
Just once.
Now raise your hand if you've been ineffective in your thinking, learning, communicating at least
Yeah.
once in the last. See, it's inside of us. So if we have the potential to be top 20 and bottom 80, it would seem we also have a choice. And I would like to be my effective top 20 self in my thinking, learning, and communicating more often than not. Everybody understand where we're at? That's all our work covers.
So what you've been doing with SAMS is to consider how you are using your time, which is really important, right? And more of that will go on these couple days, becoming more aware of how you're using your time, how you can use it more effectively. Our focus for the next 75 minutes or so is about how are you using your thinking. Because whether it's your thinking or the thinking of people you work with or the thinking of those young people in your schools, the thinking makes a major difference. No one in my school experience ever asked me to become aware of my thinking. They asked me to become aware of Shakespeare. They asked me to become aware of chemistry, which I use very little of. I use my thinking 24/7 unless I'm asleep. Right? So what we're going to look at during this piece this morning is to become aware of our thinking. And
Paul, I'm feeling like it's time for a dramatization. You know what I mean? I mean, it's really time to get the party started.
you've patiently waited for 10 minutes.
I've been waiting for 48 hours for my first dramatization.
Let's do it, girl.
Let me set the scene. I'll give you a scene, and then I'll get into character, and we'll take it from there. Anybody involved in a secondary school, maybe 5th grade or up? If you had experience of teaching, being an administrator, a coach, a SAM in a school, raise your hand. Everybody, what is passing time? Who's got passing? Did you say 3 minutes? That is inhumane, Stephen. Stephen, we're going to talk to somebody about this. How many of you got more than 3 minutes of passing time? Don't ever start complaining then, because poor Stephen's dealing with 3. At the high school that I taught at, we had 4 minutes. If you are a classroom teacher, by the way, how many of you are from elementary schools? I fully understand they never let those people leave the room. That is not okay either. But if you're a high school teacher and you have 4 minutes of passing time, help me by hollering out answers to this question. What do you got to do in the 4 minutes? Bathroom. What else? Locker. What else? No, a teacher now. Your teachers have no time to talk to their friends. Teachers don't have friends. No. I think you have to go to the bathroom. You got to check the gal who's crying in the hallway, right? There's always one. You got to write a curriculum. You got to mainline a Diet Coke if you can get one in yourself fast enough. It's a hectic time. And then my boss, much like many of you, would say this. Now, this is my administrator voice, so stick with me. Hey, gang. That joke goes over way better with teachers, by the way. So noted. Hey, gang, do me a favor and check in with the outside world during passing time. Do you know what that is speak for? No. Check your voicemail and see if any crazy parents have called for you. Hold on, you don't have crazy parents at your school? Are we hoarding them all where I live in Minnesota? No, great. I use that word lovingly, and I'll back it up later. But I'm referring to that parent that has to reach you in the middle of the day to tell you what a bad job you're doing. You know that person? So let's just say, allegedly, that may have happened in my career. And by the way, by the look in your eyes, I see it's happened in yours as well. What I'd like to do is, in essence, play for you that voicemail and then show you how I've handled it. One like my top 20 very effective self, one like my bottom 80 very ineffective self. Would you care to hear, friends? Wonderbar. So this part I'm not kidding on. Too cool for school. I'm coming for you on this one. To really get into character, what I'd love for you all to do is yell 1, 2, 3, and then with your hands say action. I am not kidding. All right, everybody? And then I'm going to play for you the voicemail I heard during this passing time. Ready, everybody together?
1, 2, 3, action.
Hello, Miss Sweeney. This is Marge O'Donnell calling. I'm just calling to tell you I heard what you did in social studies yesterday, and I'm irate. Tommy came home and told me all about it. Guess what, Miss Sweeney? I'm coming up there immediately. Up there, right? Like we all teach up on a hill somewhere. Where are they coming from and going to? By the way, Illinois, flat, yet still coming up. I'm coming up there and I want to talk to you about this immediately. And scene. Friends, as a professional educator, would you like to take your guess what my emotional reaction is to a call like this? Bring it on?
Bring it on.
Here I am. I tend to get wildly defensive. Help me finish this sentence, because this is what I think. How? All right, I'm with my sisters and brothers. How dare she? I've given up everything in my life to do what? Teach brats like Tommy for 23 grand? Are you kidding me right now? Now, even though I have almost always had that emotional reaction, I have handled myself in two very different ways. One we refer to as our top 20 highly effective way. One is our bottom 80 ineffective way. I'd like to share with you my top 20 response if it'd be fine with you. Okay, but then you got to do the 1, 2, 3 action. See, I don't work for free, so let's go here. Everybody, all together, I'll give you my highly effective response.
1, 2, 3, action.
Hi, Marge O'Donnell. It is. It's Willow Sweeney calling. And yes, I did get your message, and I do have something to say to you. Marge, here's what I'm hearing. It sounds as if Tommy is not having the experience he wants in my classroom. You need to know, Marge, that's so far away from my goal. I really want Tommy to experience my class in a positive way. And because he's not, I really understand why that would be so disheartening to you, as Tommy's one of your favorite things. So could you come up, Marge, but could you come up at 3? Because I've got some time and energy. Let's just get on the same page. Let's clean this up and let's figure this out as quick as we can. Thank you, Marge. I'll see you at 3. See. Huh? Effective? Did that work? Be clear. What is my emotional reaction as a professional educator? Oh, I'm still ticked. But I can be angry or defensive and still handle myself in an effective way. Have you ever done it? Raise your hand if you have.
Sure.
All right, I've also done it this way. You want to hear my bottom 80 ineffective way? I bet you do, cowboy. Let's go. You're going to yell 1, 2, 3, action, and I'm going to give it to you. Ready? Go.
1, 2, 3, action.
Hey, Marge O'Donnell, how you doing? Guess what? There's no possible way your kid came home and told you what I said this week. Want to know why, Marge? Because your kid hasn't listened in 3 months. That's right, he's as jacked as the last 5 O'Donnells you've sent up here, lady. So come on up, because I'd love to tell you what I think about you and your brood. And scene. Yes. Do not clap my ineffectiveness. Now, here's why I know it's ineffective. It's almost always followed by this. Say 1, 2, 3, action. I'm going to tell you the sound I hear in my head. Ready, go. Miss Sweeney, please come to the main office. Because as it turns out, we're not on walkie-talkies. And Marge can call my boss, which she always will. And then he'll bring me in and offer me a humbling experience, which sounds a little bit like this. You did not really say that to Marge O'Donnell. No, that was the beginning of my career. By the end, it was, sit down, I know what you said to Marge O'Donnell. And then I would have this thought always in my head help me complete this sentence. What was I thinking? Because the real deal was, I was not using my effective thinking in that moment. I just didn't know it. Here's why I know I didn't know it. Did it feel good? It felt fabulous. Does that mean my thinking was working? It does not. All we're going to talk about for the next hour together is this thing called our thinking. Sometimes it's working. We should trust it and use it. Sometimes it's not. And if we do use it, we're going to get into trouble. And say that phrase with me one more time. What was I
thinking?
Will be part of your experience.
Yeah.